Hey everyone, Selena here, Selena Baca Crochet. I snuck in a new pattern release this week and I was a little quiet about it because I haven't really been feeling well, but today I feel less terrible. And so I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows all about the Color Made Easy cardigan. I want to walk you guys through it. So if you're watching and you guys have any questions, whether it's live or on the replay, just let me know and I'll get to it as soon as I see it, okay? So the Color Made Easy cardigan is not a brand new pattern. It's been around for a bit and it was exclusive to a crochet pattern book that I wrote a couple years ago called Crochet in a Weekend. And the whole idea for this book and this particular pattern is that I wanted to put together a series of sweaters, tops, shawls, cardigans, things like that you could make arguably in a weekend. I mean, I wanted to say like 12 to 15 hours or less. So, I mean, a weekend. Things that, weren't going to take up all of your mental, capacity. So you could still kind of participate in life. So whether you wanted to take your projects with you on the go, watch your favorite shows, hang out with your friends and family, stuff like that, you could totally do that. So all of the patterns in this book, including the Color Made Easy cardigan, are worked with really simple stitch repeats that are very easy to repeat, very simple row repeats. And that way, once you get the first few rows of the pattern started, then you're off and running. You can just kind of, keep going and you don't really have to put a whole lot of thought into it. I really like to play around with different kinds of texture. So yeah, we're using very simple stitches here, but it's all about where you're placing those stitches or how you're combining those stitches just to make it look really different. And that way, you see a lot of texture in these really simple projects that you're working up. So there's a lot of satisfaction in making something that looks really complex or is creating this fabric that looks squishy and feels nice and stuff like that. So anyway, the Color Made Easy cardigan was first published back in, okay, I think I made it in 2021, and I think the book was published in 2022. So it was exclusive with that book for quite some time. It's not exclusive anymore. I put this together in an individual PDF, and that way, if you don't have the book or you do have the book, either way, you can just get this pattern, and you can find it in my Ravelry shop. I do have the link to that in the video description, so you guys can quickly click on over there and snag this pattern if you'd like. Okay, before I dive into more about this, I see that Ashley is here. So good to see you. Angelica says, hey to everyone. Also, Angelica loves this book. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Sophie's here. Hey, thanks for checking in. I appreciate you. Okay, so the Color Made Easy cardigan, if you guys have been following me for, any measure of time, you'll know that I have really basic names for the things that for the patterns that I come up with. I used to try to be really clever and come up with really clever names. And I'm like, you know what? People are not going to know that name. Let's just call it what it is. So the yarn that I used for this was called Color Made Easy. It is a yarn by Lion Brand that has since been discontinued. That's what happens with all the yarns that I love. Lion Brand just rips them out of my hands. It just breaks my heart. So anyway, I super loved that yarn for quite a few reasons, but because it's discontinued, I just kind of wanted to walk you through some substitutes for that, because there were quite a few things that I liked about Color Made Easy that I think would be really nice to replicate. So if you want the same look and feel of this particular cardigan, and you can't find Color Made Easy anywhere because it's discontinued, I've gone through, well, actually in the pattern, I've linked the substitutes. I love using yarnsub.com because you can just type in a yarn and it tells you everything you need to know about that yarn, and then it gives you a list of substitutes. So the things that I like about this yarn is that it was a bulky weight yarn, but because of the ply and because of the fibers of this yarn, it was very light in weight. So even though it was a big, chunky yarn, it was very soft and squishy and it wasn't heavy. Does that make sense? So you don't want to choose a yarn that's going to have a lot of weight because a lot of yarn is going to be needed to make this project. And again, if you're looking for the same soft, squishy, billowy, Color Made Easy cardigan, you want to go with a yarn that's going to literally weigh the same. So if it weighs more, even if you're using the same yardage, and that's where you kind of have to look at the particulars of the yarn label, which I have posted all right here. So I tell you everything that you need to know. The material, the yards, the meters, the grams, the ounces, all of that kind of stuff. So as you're choosing a substitute, if you're like, I want my project to look like this, you see how it has drape and you see how it's squishy and it's billowy, and look at those sleeves and everything. If you want all of that, make sure that your yarn literally does not weigh a whole lot more than what I've used. It's okay if it does. Actually, sometimes it's fun to use a completely different yarn, whether it be in texture, whether it be in look, whether it be in color, because it can give you something completely different, and maybe we like that a little bit better, right? So you can, I think, make a lot of substitutions with this, and I think that it's going to be really easy for you to immediately see if you like those substitutions or not. So as you're choosing what yarn you want to use for your Color Made Easy cardigan, this project is so simplistic that you can just kind of get right into the pattern, so to speak. The pattern is pretty simplistic. You don't have to, you can work up just a small swatch with, you can just chain 20 and then follow the pattern. It's super simple to follow along. And then make a couple rows, maybe make 10 rows or something like that, and just see if you like it. Do you like how the fabric feels? Do you like how the fabric looks? Do you like working with the yarn? Do you like the way the yarn feels? Do you like the way, if it's, a complex color variation or something like that, do you like the way that it's working up? So this pattern is really easy to swatch just kind of at a glance. And that way, as you're choosing a substitute for this, you can quickly and easily see if the yarn that you're choosing is going to work for all of those different reasons. Okay. Oh, it looks like quite a few of you guys are here. All right, I'll get back to that in just a second. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you about yarn. But if you guys have any yarn questions, just let me know and I'll get to them when I see them, okay? All right, so pattern instructions, and I do have a diagram here that goes over all of the different parts of this. And I was pretty excited about this because, again, crochet in a weekend, it's not only quicker to stitch, but I really wanted things to be quicker, easier, more accessible to put together. With this book and previous publications and since, I've really fallen in love with the idea of making shapes that don't have a lot of complex increases or decreases. So squares and rectangles. So I really love taking squares and rectangles because you're not really doing a whole lot of counting, and you're not really having to come up with a lot of like accommodations for your body size and your body type. So I like to use these simple shapes like this, and then really the yarn is going to help put the project together so that it doesn't just look like a square or a rectangle or something like that. So I've really put a lot of work into the yarn fabric, the yarn type, the yarn the stitches with the yarn. And that way, as you're putting these squares and rectangles together and you put it on your body, you're like, actually, I'm not mad at this. It doesn't feel like I just made a bunch of squares and rectangles. So as you're putting this project together, it is worked in different sections. So you're going to make the back, then you're going to make the front panels, and then you're going to add the sleeves. And what I like about this is that this particular, whenever you construct something like this, everything is customizable. So you can literally follow the pattern for whatever size you want to make in terms of dimensions. So if after you measure your own body size and you're like, I think I'm going to make this large size, right? So what I like to do was I like to construct things. And that way, if you are following a particular size and you're like, I want it to be shorter, I want it to be longer, you can totally easily do that. So you can make the cardigan fit you right about the top of your hip, which is where I have mine right here, right about the top, maybe the middle of the hip. You can have it fit that way, but if you want it to be cropped and much shorter, if you want it to be longer, you can totally just keep going or stop. It's so easy to do. Also for the sleeves, I wanted to make sure that the fabric of the sleeves matched the fabric of the cardigan. And that means that, we do have this horizontal kind of grid work going on, this horizontal kind of ribbing going on. And I wanted the sleeve to match that, even though we see a seam. I like seams. Some people don't, but I do. Sometimes I like to see them. And I really wanted this seam to be a little noticeable here. So I did that on purpose, everybody. Don't come at me. I did that on purpose. But I wanted to make sure that the fabric in the sleeves was an extension of the fabric in the cardigan. I really wanted to make sure that that horizontal pattern kept going. So because of that, I really wanted to make sure that your body size, your body shape, however you like your style and fit to be, I wanted to make sure that you could still choose a sleeve length that was going to fit with the cardigan size that you made. So I talk a little bit about arm span here, and some people get mad at me because they're like, arm span? Why do I have to care about, wrist to wrist? Well, it's because everything is customizable. So if from wrist to wrist, you measure, you may be smaller than I am from wrist to wrist, but larger than I am in bust. Does that make sense? So so your wrist to wrist measurement is how long you're going to want your sleeve, and that's in combination with your cardigan. Also, maybe I want my cardigan to be super fitted. Maybe I want it to be the exact size of my body. That means my sleeve, if I want a long sleeve, is going to have to be a lot longer. Does that make sense? Maybe I want my cardigan to be super oversized. So no matter what my body measurements are, no matter what size I fit into, maybe I want to follow the extra, extra large size for my body shape because I want it to be really, really oversized in that respect. Maybe I want my cardigan to go, all the way to my elbow, right? That means my sleeve is probably going to be shorter than I need. So for those reasons, because so many different people, or because people, again, everybody's body shape and size is different, but everybody likes to wear things differently. So even though my Color Made Easy cardigan looks this particular way on me because I followed certain sizes, you may want your cardigan to be larger or smaller in the cardigan body area. You may want your sleeves to be longer or shorter. So I really wanted to make sure that these two things were completely separate, and it wasn't like size small, this is what you're going to do for the cardigan, and then you need a size small sleeve. That didn't make sense to me. So each one of those things are customizable. And you do need things like your bust measurement, and you do need things like your arm span measurement. And that way you're going to make a style that works best for you. So hopefully you dig that. All right, who else is here? Ashley says, upgraded my phone to 5G. And still they have issues with the, oh no, I'm sorry. The replay is just as good, hopefully. Hopefully I've got all of my kinks worked out, and that way you can just walk on the You can watch on the replay. Angelica says, I think I made this one with a latte cake. If you did, I don't think that I saw that yet because I was just looking through all of the finished projects. My friend, I don't think you've posted your project here. If anyone has made the Color Made Easy cardigan, I hope that you guys post your projects on Ravelry. Because look at this. We can see it in different sizes and different colors, on different body shapes, on different body types. And we can also see what yarn people use so far. So not a lot of projects have been posted so far, although I do super appreciate everybody who did. But it looks like, Lion Brand Color Made Easy was used. Hue and Me was used. And also this particular brand of yarn was used as well. So if you want to see how those worked up with any of the projects, you guys can just quickly and easily click on over. And if you're like Angelica and you've already made this, I hope you post your project and some pictures and let us know what yarn you use because I would super love to see. So there we have it, my friends. It's pretty customizable. It's pretty easy to work up. So maybe you've never made a cardigan or any kind of wearable before. I think that this would be a great beginner project because if you can work in rows, if you can count your stitches, if you can identify stitches, this could be a great first project to really build your skills. And it's super easy to measure as you go. And that way, if you need to make any sort of adjustments, you can quickly and easily do them. And if you guys have any questions as you're going through this, all you guys have to do is just send me an email and I'd be so happy to help. All right, everybody, that's all I have for you guys today. The Color Made Easy cardigan was only available in Crochet in a Weekend. But I just quietly published it this week, and that way you guys can just get that individual download in my Ravelry shop if you guys want to. If you guys have made this project from my book or any projects from any of my books, keep me posted. Post your projects on Ravelry to, not only build up your crochet resume, but also to show people how these projects look on other body types, body styles, different colors, different yarns, things like that. I mean, really, it's just such a wealth of knowledge and information. And if you guys want to see all of the finished projects so far, click on over. Again, just click on the link in the Ravelry description. You guys can see all of the yarns people use, finished projects, pattern details, and all of that. When you guys get this individual pattern, I do have links to things like the yarn substitutes, and that way you guys can quickly and easily come on over and see what could work as a really good substitute. There's a few in the running that are 98% matches, it says. But this, can change and update anytime, which is super cool. So definitely check that out. Whew. All right, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Anyone else have any other questions? Ashley says, how easy with it for Red Heart yarns? I'm wondering if you're asking, will Red Heart yarn work well for this pattern? Red Heart has dozens and dozens and dozens of different yarn lines, and each one of those lines is different weight and type and texture and fiber. So I'd really have to see which specific line from Red Heart you're talking about to let you know whether or not I think it could be a good substitute. So let me know if you have a particular one in mind, but I'm pretty sure Red Heart or Yarnspirations would have one, would have a yarn that could be a pretty good substitute. But just to kind of go from the top of the list down, just based on what Yarn Sub has to say, just off the bat, for suggested substitutes, there's Sheppa's Chunky Monkey. It's a 98% match. Big Twist Yarns Gentle, again, 98% match. Papatia, Donut Chunky, Karen Colorama, Mary Maxim Aspen, Sheppa's Truly Scrumptious, Rico Modern Print, Big Twist Comfy, and those were all at least 90% match and higher. There are lots of others that say that they're a match, but it's 89% and below, and those percentages are based on lots of different things, like the gauge, the fiber content, the ply of the yarn, the density of the yarn, the qualities of the yarn, the yardage. So I think that if you kind of read through all of those things, you can find one that you like. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you guys today. Definitely check out the Color Made Easy cardigan. I've got a link for it in the video description. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I hope you dig the Color Made Easy cardigan. I can't wait to see your finished projects. Peace, love, crochet, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.